I want to bring in our team of political experts for some analysis right now. David Chalian, let me start with you. Were you surprised that in a speech billed as being about the U.S. economy, Trump did veer off into so many other topics, even spending a lot of time talking about his former opponent, President Biden?
No, I don't think surprised would be a word I would use for that. And as Kristen said, for the most part, he did talk about economic matters. All the signage of the event that'll get replayed as people see the clips are about his proposals about, no taxes on tips and on Social Security and the like. He clearly, it is getting to him that Kamala Harris has signed on to that no taxes on tips policy. I mean, here's the reality of what Trump did today, Wolf, which is sort of, pre-butt what we are going to get from Kamala Harris on Friday when she is in that very same now very clear battleground state, North Carolina. Republicans thought they had really taken that off the map. With Kamala Harris back on the ticket, that has snapped back into battleground status in a pretty substantial way. Just look at the visits from the candidates and the money being spent. So he's trying to pre-butt that a little bit and to lean into an issue where he has an advantage right now. I mean, there was a new AP poll today that shows him with a 7 percentage point advantage, 45% to 38% over Harris about who can better handle the economy. Now, that's a better deficit for Harris than it was with Joe Biden on the issue of the economy. But clearly, issue number one for voters is still an advantage category for Donald Trump.
And Scott Jennings, Trump does hold an advantage over Kamala Harris on the issue of the economy. Another poll shows this: 53% of Americans in this poll say Trump would do a better job with the economy compared to just 44% for Harris. So how much is he hurting himself when he loses focus on that specific issue?
Well, he would be hurting himself, but it sounds like today he kept his focus. I mean, this is obviously one of two issues that he has to win on. It's the economy and it's immigration. And all of it has to be tied back to Biden. I know he talked about Biden a lot today. He has to continue to do that because people cannot allow Harris to run as a disconnected figure. They can't believe that she just, fell out of a coconut tree, as it were, and has nothing to do with Joe Biden, his policies, his results, because she is his number two. She has been billed as an influential advisor and policymaker in this administration. So there has to be some Biden in this campaign. The less Biden there is, the better off she's going to be. That's why Trump's got to keep bringing it up. So more economy is good. Veering off is bad. But I think today was a step in the right direction.
Interesting. Alyssa Farah Griffin, Nikki Haley was on Fox last night with some advice for Trump. And I want to play that along with what we heard from the former president earlier today. Watch and listen.
One thing Republicans have to stop doing, quit whining about her. We knew it was going to be her. She's not going to give an interview. They're going to hold out as long as they can. That's their right. They can do it. It's not going to win talking about whether she's dumb. It's not. You can't win on those things.
It's the laugh of a crazy person, I will tell you. If you haven't known it, it's a crazy. She's crazy. You know why she hasn't done an interview? Because she's not smart. She's not intelligent.
All right, so Alyssa, can Trump win launching these kinds of very, very personal attacks against Kamala Harris?
Simply put, no. Look, Wolf, this election could very well be decided by which candidate better articulates an economic message. And I watched this speech in full, and there was some policy in there. There was a lot of contrasting of, were you better off 4 years ago, which you could argue we were in the midst of a pandemic then. But there was so much veering off. He was talking about her Time magazine cover. He was personally insulting her. And I think what Nikki Haley's hitting on, which is so important, is swing voters will decide this election. This election will be decided in the suburbs. Women are going to play a big role in that. And the name calling and the nastiness does not help Donald Trump. If he could merely stick to a teleprompter for 60 plus days, he could win the whole thing. But he's proven himself time and time again just incapable of that baseline level of discipline.
You've done a fantastic job here.
Amisha Cross is with us as well. Amisha, Kamala Harris will follow Trump to North Carolina on Friday. It's a state Democrats hope to win. One reason they are hopeful is how they've surpassed the GOP in the issue of enthusiasm. Look at this. Enthusiasm among Democrats is now at 85%. That's up from 46% in June, while Republicans are steady at 71%. Is that a state, North Carolina we're talking about, that Kamala Harris can really win?
it's a state that's definitely in play, and that's something that we couldn't have said a month and a half ago. Kamala Harris has shown to not only bolster excitement amongst the Democratic coalition, she's also shown to expand that base and its reach, particularly with Gen Z, a lot of younger, diverse voters. We're seeing the attacks on women's reproductive rights that have fallen flat for the right, and they consistently continue to do so. I think that for Kamala Harris, her lane is not only being the younger, fresher candidate out here, but it's also being able to galvanize voters who, in all honesty, had stepped outside of politics, who didn't want to hear the bickering, who did not want to see two super seniors running against each other, who wanted to see a path to a future, not a look back to the past. And all that we're seeing from Donald Trump time and time again, no matter where he's speaking, be it whether it's the press, whether it's on Twitter, it is always attacks on things of the past and bringing up taking America back. America doesn't want to go back. Americans want to move forward. And the acknowledgement that the Harris-Walz ticket is that forward path is what's really moving people.
Important point. David Chalian, Republicans, as you and I well know, have won 10 of the last 11 elections in North Carolina. Why has it been so hard for Democrats to get over the hump in North Carolina?
Well, yeah, the Democrats have not won it since 2008, and they have constantly poured money in there to see if they can, utilize the demographic changes in the makeup of the electorate, similar to what they were able to accomplish in Georgia. It's been a tougher nut to crack, obviously, for Republicans here. What gives Democrats a bit of hope here is not only the work that Kamala Harris has instantly done over the 3 weeks in terms of all of the polling out there about bringing the pieces of the Democratic coalition back into an enthusiastic support of her candidacy, but they also point to the gubernatorial race in North Carolina, where the current Lieutenant Governor, Mark Robinson, who is a very controversial figure, is somebody that Democrats believe they can paint as far to the extreme in a way to also bring in those critical independent voters, the suburban voters that Alyssa was talking about earlier. And the suburbs, of course, have been expanding there. So geographically, demographically, and with a Republican at the top of the ticket for governor that they think they can sort of demonize, they think they have a chance here to make North Carolina competitive. We'll see.
That's why the vice president is going to be there on Friday. Alyssa, we also have a brand new poll from the key battleground state of Pennsylvania. And it shows that Kamala Harris has a slight lead over Trump in Pennsylvania, 50% to 47%. How big of a warning sign is this for Republicans right now?
It should be a wake-up call. Kamala Harris is winning right now, and I think Donald Trump is just waking up to that, which is why you're seeing some of the attacks and, his return to X and this sort of meltdown of an interview with Elon Musk. But the Harris campaign cannot get overconfident. She needs to be running multiple points ahead. She does have a deficit in some states that are key to win. But what I do think is interesting, both North Carolina and Arizona are similar in that they're battlegrounds where the Republican is favored, but they have unpopular candidates on the ticket. So to the point that Mark Robinson could actually help Democrats in North Carolina, Kari Lake could do the same in Arizona by turning out people who see her as polarizing and extremists. The bottom line being there are states in play for Kamala Harris that weren't even a dream to Biden, and this race is a dead heat right now.